In this video, I'm going to show you how to play the classic guitar solo from Van Halen's Ice Cream Man. Now, as we typically do with Van Halen songs, you want to make sure your guitar is tuned down 1/2 step, just like the original. So E becomes E flat, A becomes A flat, D becomes D flat, etc. You know the drill by now. Alright, let's jump on into it. Alright, so the first section leading up into the solo, this is pretty easy. What you're going to do is bar your ring finger across the D, G, and B strings and create these little major triads, E, A, and B. Okay? And when I do it, I like to add a little bit of vibrato into it like this. Here it is slowly. Alright, that one should be pretty easy. Let's move on to the next. Now for the next section, we get into this wide stretch descending lick, which is much more simple than it sounds. You're only using the 12th, 16th, and 19th frets as you move your way down the fretboard. What challenges people is typically one of two things, either getting it up to speed and or being able to perform it while standing up and doing that stretch on the lower strings. We'll get to that in a minute. But first, let's cut this one in half and slow it down. The first half goes like this. Now, I've seen this tabbed and played a different way many, many times. In fact, the way I'm about to show you is how I learned it many, many years ago, back in the 80s, from a tab book, where instead of playing the 19th fret of the B string in several spots, you're playing the 14th fret of the high E string. Same note, just a different spot on the fretboard. And that would look like this. Now, either way you play it, you're going to be fine, but I prefer to play it the other way and not bring in the 14th fret or my middle finger, because one, it's easier to play it that way, and that's the way Van Halen plays it when you watch him live. Now, granted, Eddie always improvises, but he always uses that shape. I never see him use the shape when he's playing live, okay? Either way, you should be fine. Now, the second half slowly goes like this. Now, one thing I want to call out there is that the first note in this second half of the section, the 12th fret of the high E, oftentimes I'll see people replace that with the 12th fret of the B. So instead of going like this at the beginning, they'll go. Okay? Now, either way, it's going by so fast, most people won't know. But when you really slow down the original and dissect every note, which is what I did, I can hear Eddie playing at the beginning that 12th fret high E, not the B string. Okay? I think people often play the B string because it seems to flow a little bit better. It seems more logical. But keep in mind, we're talking about Van Halen here, so all rules need to go right out the window, right? When he plays, whether it's on recording or in the studio or live, he's improvising a lot, and it's a bit haphazard, right? So expect the unexpected when it comes to Eddie. Now for the next section, we start adding in some tapping, and we've got some sliding taps, and here it is slowly. And what I want to call out here is you'll notice that when I'm tapping onto the 17th fret and then sliding up to pull off, it shows that I'm pulling off at the 20th fret. Do not get hung up on pulling off exactly at the 20th fret. Okay, I put the 20th fret there just to give you kind of a marker, you know, where you approximately pull off. But don't worry about pulling off exactly at the 20th. Just slide up and off, okay? And then when I'm doing those sliding taps and I'm pulling off to the 15th fret, a lot of times I'll see people instead pull off to the 12th fret and hammer onto the 15th, like this. And if you want to do it that way, if it feels more natural, that's fine. Most people won't notice. I tend to do a little bit of a hybrid technique, kind of in between, where I'll pull off to the 12th, but I'll hammer on to the 15th so quickly you really won't hear the 12th. Right? But do whatever feels most comfortable to you. And then I also want to call out that at the end of this section where I'm doing those whammy bar dips as I bend up, a lot of times what people will do is they'll apply all those whammy bar dips at the top of the bend like this. But that's not how it goes. What you want to do is apply those whammy bar dips as you're bending up. Think of it this way. The first dip happens at the bottom of the bend, the second halfway up, and the third at the top. Ready? All right, let's move to the next part. The next section's got some pretty cool blues-based licks in it. Here it is slowly. Not much more to explain there. Let's move on to the next part. Now we've got some more tapping, and it goes like this, slowly. Now I think what's worth calling out there is when I tap onto the 16th fret at the top of those bends, when I'm tapping, I don't apply any vibrato, okay? So you bend up, apply vibrato, tap with no vibrato, pull off, bring it down a little bit, back up, wide vibrato, tap, down, okay? Okay, a lot of times people will bend up and they'll still be doing the vibrato. You don't want to do that. There's no vibrato on the tap, okay? All right, let's move to the next part. Now this next part is Eddie's take on, kind of a classic blues turnaround type of lick, those type of thing. And here it is slowly. Now with that one, you'll notice ghost notes, right? Those ones in parentheses or brackets. And those are notes that you're not playing, but they're sounding out because you're fingering them, if that makes sense. And a lot of times people will miss that. They won't include that B string. They'll just have the G and the E strings in there. But if you listen to Eddie play live, not only if you slow down the original, you hear those notes in there, but if you listen to him live, he keeps that full shape. All three strings, not just the G and the E, but all three. He keeps all those in there when he plays live. Now, that is, I don't think you should get too hung up on playing it exactly the way that I've tabbed it here. That's exactly how Eddie did it. But when he plays live, again, he just improvises. So I would just keep the shape of those chords and just move them around. That sort of thing. Do something like that, and no one will know the difference. Now the next section slowly goes like this. All right. Now the tricky part with this one is usually for most people it's doing that the two-string bend where you go up two steps, right? So you're basically taking like these two notes up to here. That gives some people some trouble. You're basically catching the G string as you're bending up at the B string. That one can give people a little bit of a hard time. And then pay attention to the bends after that. So the first two are two full steps, so from here to here, and then the last one's a full step, okay? And then after that we have the... And the only thing I want to call out there is that when I'm doing the move from the 12th fret E to the 12th fret B, that happens twice, I'm not alternate picking, like I'm just kind of raking back up, right? Okay? All right, let's move to the next part. Okay, so here it is slowly. Now, a lot of open strings going on here, and you know, typically, again, with Eddie, a lot of times those are happy accidents. Whether he's doing them intentionally or not, I don't know, but they're there. Again, here it is slowly. All right, let's move to the last part. And then the last section, again, this is one where there's a descending pattern, kind of symmetrical. It's not scale based. He's just playing off of the 11th, 12th, and 14th frets, and it goes like this. Oh, let me do that slowly. All right, that one should be pretty easy if you made it this far. So let's wrap it up. All right, that was my video showing you how to play the guitar solo from Van Halen's Ice Cream Man. If you enjoyed it, please hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, leave a comment. All that stuff means something. And if you have questions, leave those down below too, and I will answer all as time allows. Until next time, rock on.